Hi everyone, my name is Cassidie Bates and I am the Policy and Advocacy Manager here at the Food Bank of Contra, Costa, and Solano. I want to first thank you all for coming. We appreciate you giving us your time today. As you entered into this event, you saw some of our staff and board members sharing their why for being a hunger fighter. I am honored to be here today to share with you my why for food banking. My why for being a hunger fighter is really a story more about my mom than it is me. But the intentional choices that she made determined the optimal outcomes in my life. My mom has her bachelor's and master's degrees and was working in social work at a university when she found out that she was expecting me. Her university job did not offer health insurance at that time, and as her medical costs took priority, she found herself suddenly dealing with a set of circumstances where she needed a little support. She was fortunate to receive WIC for the duration of her pregnancy, a food assistance program that is intended for women, infants, and children. When I called my mom to tell her that I was giving this speech and that I wanted to share a little bit of her story, she reminded me that she never expected to be in a situation where she was the one receiving help. As someone with a career in social work, she was interacting with these assistance programs and with those who utilize them on almost a daily basis. She reminded me how humbling it was to find herself on the other side of things when her circumstances necessitated her needing a little bit of extra support. My mom is grateful to have received the help she did when she needed it, and was even more grateful to transition off of the WIC program as soon as she was able. Because of the food assistance that she and I were able to receive at this time, I was able to have a strong start in life and able to pursue the opportunities that have allowed me to now advocate for food access for others. If 2020 has shown us anything, it is that circumstances can change for any of us, and very suddenly too. That is why it is crucial for us to lift up those on the front line providing food for our community, like the Food Bank of Contra, Costa, and Solano, so that we can be there for those who need our extra help in their time of need. It's because of these personal experiences and witnessing how rapidly lifestyle and circumstances can change that I feel honored to advocate on behalf of those that we serve, like our amazing advocate, Patricia, who will be sharing her story in a bit. We hope that you will learn more about the food bank and be inspired by what you hear today. Empty Bowls has been a favorite event for all of us who work at the food bank and for those who support our work, because it is a time for us to all come together and share why we care for those in need in our community. As you all know, an in-person event was just not possible this year, so here we are in true COVID fashion. We still wanted to try and bring that same type of family feeling to this virtual get-together. So right now, we are going to break out into small groups. Some of you will break out into these Zoom rooms with the person who invited you, and others will meet new friends. But what we ask all of you to do is share your why with your group. Your why for being here today, your why for supporting the food bank, your why for being a hunger fighter. We want you to share this why with somebody new. Finally, as we move through our digital event today, you will be put on silent during the presentation, but feel free to share your reactions with the speakers either in the chat box or by using the reaction button located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. When we come back together out of the breakout rooms, you will get to hear from our CEO, Joel Sjostrom, who will share what we have been doing during this time and our vision for tomorrow. Thank you so much for all being here today and allowing me to share with you. So now let's get to those breakout rooms.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being with us today. I'm Joel Sjostrom, and I am so pleased and honored to have been selected as the president and CEO of the Food Bank of Contra, Costa, and Solano after the well-deserved retirement of Larry Sly after 43 years of dedicated service to this food bank and to the community. I started here in December, and I was just getting my settled into my role when COVID-19 and shelter in place struck the Bay Area, and the impact of this global pandemic really affected all of us, whether it would be an illness, job loss, income reduction, or even in remote learning that has so impacted our communities and our staff. But through all these challenges, I could not be more proud of our food bank staff, of our volunteers, of our partner agencies, and of our community as we have collectively really stepped up to meet the rising need and service to our neighbors in need. So for those of you that may not be real familiar with our food bank, I wanted to share just a little bit of how we got started. This food bank was founded in 1975 with just a storage trailer and 2 staff members. And in that first year, they distributed some 30,000 pounds of food to the local community. Now, fast forward some 45 years later, and this year we are going to distribute almost 40 million pounds of food. We work with 280,000 clients every month. We partner with about 240 partner agencies that actually help us distribute almost half of the food that we distribute to our clients. We operate 2 warehouses here in Concord and also in Fairfield. And we have over 104,000 hours, volunteer hours last year before the pandemic. We were so dependent on our volunteers, and that 104,000 hours actually translates into the equivalent of some 54 staff employees. Speaking of which, this last week, we actually surpassed 100 mission-driven employees here at our food banks. So we have certainly really grown in the last 45 years, and I think our founders would be, proud of where we've come. So speaking of mission, when I was interviewing for this position, I was so inspired with the mission statement, leading the fight to end hunger in partnership with our community and in service to our neighbors in need. And I just love that part about leading the fight. It didn't say to assist or support or maintain or even warehouse and distribute food. It said to lead the fight against hunger. And I am so proud of the truly mission-driven team we have here at our food bank. Another thing I'm often asked about is, so who are the clients that we serve? And my answer usually is that, hunger doesn't have a type. Hunger can happen to anyone. I'm really concerned about our low-income seniors, many who have worked their whole life and now can't really make it on their small Social Security checks. Many of them are also actually afraid to come to our distributions because of fear of catching the virus. I think about our children, and 1 in 4 emergency food recipients are actually for kids. And now with remote learning, many of them are missing those breakfast and lunch meals that they would get in during a normal school year. I think about Bay Area families that are, often working parents, sometimes working 2 jobs just to try and make ends meet in the very high cost of living of the Bay Area. And to neighbors of all ages that have health issues or medical issues and have to decide sometimes between getting appropriate medications, prescriptions, or buying groceries. And now with the recession, with over 60 million unemployment applications in just the first few months after shelter in place, and we have seen so many of these new faces at our distributions, many people who have never faced food insecurity before in their life. Even before this pandemic, many of our neighbors were living paycheck to paycheck, which isn't hard to imagine here in the Bay Area. And all it takes is missing 1 or 2 paychecks, and it can really be, devastating very quickly to families and individuals. So it's not a surprise that we're now seeing about 100,000 more people at our distributions every month. We went from serving about 178,000 clients per month to now over 280,000 in just these last 6 months. During these 6 months, I could not be more proud again of our team, our volunteers, and our communities. We've stepped up to this challenge. Think of our staff who's really worked tirelessly to safely distribute records amount of food. In July, we actually had 1 week where we served 1 million pounds of food in 1 week. And you've probably also seen some of those now famous drive-through distributions where we can safely distribute more food to meet that immediate need. I talked about our volunteers. And when shelter in place first came on, we lost about 30% of our volunteers, many of them in that vulnerable age group. And so that 30% equates to about 435 hours per week that we were missing. And it was tough for a few weeks, but within just a few weeks, our community once again really stepped up. Essentially, every volunteer shift that we put on our website seems to fill up within 2 days, sometimes within just a couple of hours. Also proud of our key partners, beyond our agencies. Actually, have had great collaboration with our counties, with other nonprofits, and I'll also throw in for Feeding America and for some of my peers at other food banks in the Bay Area. And then, of course, our community, all of you and your generosity and giving spirit, you've helped step up to help us meet this need. Our purchasing of food has more than quadrupled in the last 4 to 5 months. We couldn't have done it without you. And this need is going to continue, not just for months, but literally for a few years to come. Feeding America forecasted back in June that our 2 counties would see about a 57% increase in need and food insecurity, over the next year. More recently, just a few weeks ago, the McKinsey Consulting out of Chicago did a study, and they are forecasting for the Western region that we would have a 100% increase from this next December through March, literally doubling due to extended COVID and unemployment. So we are still here after 45 years, committed, for the long haul and to continue to serve our neighbors in need. Earlier I mentioned the devastating impact of so many people losing their jobs, and I wanted to just share a personal story that hit really close to home for me, and that is the last organization that I was leading before coming to the food bank recently closed. It recently ended, and all of the staff lost their jobs. And this was a large family-owned business that sold primarily to the cruise lines, so it's not hard to imagine the impact the pandemic had on cruise lines, and that business closed. And it's really sad, but I've been able to work with maybe more than a dozen of my past employees, offering help in giving references and writing letters and using my network to try and find them some new opportunities. And in some cases, I've even shared with them food bank distributions, to ensure that they are able to feed their families through these very challenging times. It really hurts when it hits so close to home and to people that we care about. And many of them thought this would never happen to them. So there is a great need. We've always been able to meet that need because of your support, and we need your help now. We currently have a $1.5 million shortfall in our budget, primarily due to the increased need to purchase more food and to meet that growing demand that we're seeing in our community. Our community has been here for 45 years, and we're committed to being there, whether it's for COVID or recession or fires. And with your continued support and partnership, we can truly continue to make a difference in our communities. So thank you for your continued support, and thank you for being here today.
Hello, my name is Patricia, and I'd like to share with you my story on how I came to the food bank. First of all, I've never in my life had been hungry. I never went hungry. I've always had food for myself and my family. And one day my life changed. I never thought that I'd be utilizing the support of the food bank, but what was given to me in life is given to other people in life. Things change, your life changes, and mine did. I worked for many years. I was extremely successful in my job. And at one point, after 29 and a half years working for a very large corporation, I, as well as 4,999 other managers, were corporate downsized, and we lost our jobs. I was given a severance pay. I was able to collect unemployment, and I utilized the unemployment until it ran out. I utilized my severance pay until it ran out, and I had to dip into my 401k, and I exhausted that. So I was without any income at all, and I didn't know what I was going to do. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to feed my family? What am I going to do? So I had heard of the food bank before because I've seen the little barrels that are at the stores, but I've never dealt with the food bank. And I was told about food pantries in my area. And my sister told me about, you should look into a food pantry. And I went to a food pantry. I remember the day I was, first of all, very scared to go. I didn't know what to expect. And I was extremely nervous, not to mention I felt like I was a failure, because here I was, a successful person, and now I'm in need, and now I need food for my family. So I went to this pantry and stood in line with everyone else, and there were people that from all walks of life. So that little bit of hesitation went away, because I know, okay, if I'm going through this, other people are going through this as well. And as I said, I was very scared. I was scared to do this, but I stood in line, and when I got to the front of the line, I was treated as a human being. No questions asked as far as, how much money do you make, or what's going on in your life. It was just, here's food. And when I left there, after, collecting food, going outside, getting in my car, started crying, because, I can't believe I was in this position in my life. I looked for jobs. I couldn't find a job, so here I was with the mortgage. What am I going to do? I'm going to lose my house. What am I going to, what am I going to do? And like I said, with the help of the food bank and local pantries, I was able to survive. In surviving, I had to teach myself different ways of how am I going to feed myself. And, cutting coupons, shopping at different stores, and learning, I have to survive. This is something that is real, and I have to survive. Let's see, what else? Like I said, when I went to the food bank, I saw people from all different lives, and I said, you know what? If I ever get out of this, I'm going to learn to give back. I need to learn to give back. So what I have done now, I started volunteering for the food bank, and I am advocating for people that are hungry. And I go up to Sacramento, and I speak with our local officials about food insecurities, and how our elected officials can help in our fight. So this is what I do. I speak on behalf of people that don't necessarily speak on their own, that are needing food, that are hungry, and it's a right to eat. This is our right, is to eat, and we shouldn't go without eating. So I am here today extremely thankful for the food bank and what the food bank has done for me and my family. I am still a client of the food bank, and I appreciate all the help that they give me. And I want to let everybody know that we all have stories in our life. You've heard stories from people today. You've heard my story, and I know you have a story. It may not be of hunger, but everyone has a story, and I appreciate your time in listening to my story. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Patricia, for sharing your story today with us. It's definitely inspiring. Good afternoon. I want to thank you for joining us today. My name is David Lee. I am a board member at the Food Bank of Contra, Costa, and Solano, this great organization that we are all here to support today. Before I became a member of the board, I volunteered my time sorting and packing food for this wonderful organization with my wonderful coworkers at Valero, most which are joining me today, which I thank, and we will continue to support the food bank. And just like our speakers today, I too have a personal connection to food banking, and that I like to share with you. My life could have easily turned out differently if it wasn't for organizations like the food bank, and I definitely do not take that for granted. Which is why I sit here in front of you today to share my story and to talk to you about how you can support the work that not only changes the lives of those who have already spoken today, but have already changed my family's life as well. My parents were both people, refugees from Vietnam during the war. They fled Vietnam, they owned their own country, and left their parents, my grandparents, behind with just the clothes on their backs, with then my 2-year-old older brother. They had to sacrifice everything, their lives for a better future. They fled to Hong Kong and eventually arrived to America in the early 1980s when I was born. When arriving to America, they relied on organizations like the food bank and food pantries to feed us all and to help my parents get onto their feet. As a dad now, I just think of my own two kids every day. I can only imagine what my parents went through trying to feed me and my brothers. Of course, my parents persevered. My dad was able to save enough money to put himself through school to earn his college degree. He worked hard enough, then opened up his own business, and today he's a successful businessman with multiple businesses in Texas. My parents paved the way for me and my brother to go to college and to be a successful professional, which I am today. They instilled the importance of giving back and paying forward. Thanks to organizations like the food bank, we were able to live this American dream. And now that I am successful, I feel blessed to be able to give back to my local food bank and help those that just need a little bit of help, just to get on their feet and just to eat so they could have the strength to live the American dream as I am today. So just like Linda, Carol, Lisa expressed in the video, my role as a volunteer board member for the food bank is one of the most rewarding roles of my life. As a board member, I get to help in a much more intimate way. I have a part in helping others achieve their dreams, and that work is filled by community supporters like you. As Joel talked about, the impacts of this pandemic on our community, and as we sit here today, the pandemic continues to affect those who are already struggling in the Bay Area. They are the restaurant workers, the single mom with multiple jobs, the senior living on a fixed income. The new need are the people who didn't think it would happen to them, but now realize that they are just getting by. These are the additional 100,000 new faces that we are seeing every month. In March, we quickly had to take action. We tripled our yearly food budget in just 3 months. This is not something we budgeted for, but the community rallied around us, and we met the immediate need. And with this, we are still projected to see a $1.5 million shortfall this year because of the unknown future impacts of COVID-19. Today, you have heard stories of people whose lives have been changed by the food bank. And now I want to ask you to invest in changing more lives through financial support. Your investment in the food bank is truly an investment in the future of our community, where we live, where we work, and where we raise our families. So on behalf of the food bank and the board, thank you for joining me in changing lives. Okay, so this is the fun part, which I am really familiar with because as the controller here at the Valero Benicia Refinery, people ask me for money every day. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause here and let the expert walk you through as far as how to make a meaningful and sustainable impact. So take it away, Kim. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim. I'm Kim Castaneda, the Vice President of Development and Communications here at Food Bank and the resident expert. I'm honored to be here to show you how you can make a long-term investment in our community. So as many of you may or may not know, when the food bank sees a growth in need, especially one this large, it takes a while before we can see any kind of decrease. As you've heard from our speakers today, it takes time to get back on your feet. So what I want to do is start off by telling you about our Empty Bowls Benefactor Society, which is a society of committed food bank supporters who make a 5-year pledge, pledges that start at about $1,000. In a minute, a link will show up in the chat box. But before I walk you through how it works and how to make that gift, I have a special announcement. One of our longtime supporters, Steve and Susan Chamberlain, have graciously offered to lead the charge by matching all gifts up to $100,000 today. We are so grateful to them because this match means your gift of any amount will double and bring us closer to our goal of meeting the $1.5 million gap this year. So let me walk you through how you can make this happen. I think the link should be popping up soon into the chat box. But first, I want to start with our empty bowls benefactor levels. Just remember that even though I'll start with the empty bowls benefactor levels, there's no minimum or maximum. Any gift is appreciated. So we're jumping in our slides. This virtual thing is new for us, so please bear with us. So when you click on the donate button, you'll first see this screen right here. And I'm going to start with the empty bowls benefactors level. So the first button in red is our empty bowls benefactor level. That's where you can make your 5-year pledge. There are 3 different giving levels. An active empty bowls benefactor gift starts about $1,000 and it's $1,000 a year for 5 years. Your commitment at this level will help support our 200 partner agencies. The second level is a gift of $2,500 a year for 5 years, which can provide fresh fruits and vegetables to seniors in our community. Some of you may be in a position to give more. The final level is a gift of $5,000 a year per year for 5 years, which can provide a truckload of emergency food boxes. So let's not forget that there's a 2-for-1 match, which means that your full 5-year commitment will be doubled today. So if you pledge, for example, if you pledge $1,000 and make your 5th gift today, Steve and Susan will match the full 5-year commitment, which will equal $5,000. As always, we know and respect that we all have different financial measures. So you can choose or create the gift amount that is right for you by clicking on the custom giving button. You can choose a one-time gift or a monthly contribution. We truly appreciate whatever level support you can provide. Or perhaps you would like to consider a gift of something else, like a stock or a donor advice fund, or have other ideas you'd like to share with us. Please click on other ways to give and send us a note. We will reach out to you immediately to discuss how you can support our community. Whatever gift you're able to make, we ask that you make your first pledge payment today so we can meet that match. I'm going to stop here for a moment and give you a chance to finish your donation if you're doing that right now, or looking or clicking and finding the donation page, and then we'll get back started.
I lost the donation page. I don't see it on the screen.
Okay, well, don't worry. So if you didn't get to finish your donation and you missed the link, which is in the chat box, we are going to send you a link in your email when we're done with this event. So don't worry about it. We'll get there. So I can't not express enough our gratitude to the Chamberlain family for leading this charge, and to all of you for spending time with us today. Because of your support, together we can continue to serve our neighbors through any struggle that may come their way. So now we'd like to do our big finale. You got emails from us that we were going to print out some signs that was attached to your email that says "Fighting Hunger Together." So we wanted to take a group photo so that we can use it on our social media and show everybody, all the supporters that we have. And I wanted to let you know, if you don't want your photo in there, you can hold it up above your face when we do the screenshots. The other thing too is if you forgot to print it out and don't have it, don't worry. Just smile real big because we do have Photoshop, so we can plug it right in. So why don't we take a moment and have our IT person go ahead and do a couple quick photo shots, screenshots. I think we're done. Are we done? Okay. Thank you so much today. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us today. And we're truly grateful for all your support that you've given us. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.